Do neck joints really make a difference?
Let's take a look at some and see what we think.
Hey everybody, we're back at Edmund Music, and we're going to talk about some fun stuff today. Fun stuff for me, anyways.
This is a kind of a geeky topic, but people, we get a lot of questions about it, and people are actually interested, so let's talk about it. We're talking about neck joints. So, acoustic guitars specifically, obviously, with Fenders and Gibsons and electrics, they obviously have different neck joints too. But with acoustics, people tend to be, it's a little bit more polarizing. They're like, no, it's got to be a traditional dovetail or I'm out.
And there's a lot of history here. You might think this is kind of an odd mix of guitars, but there's I think historical versus modern and kind of what those differences are, and we're going to kind of talk about that today.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, it's a smooth progression when you actually look at it. So let's look at the Martin first. We've got an HG28 here, classic, been around forever.
1833.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So C.F. Martin didn't invent the dovetail neck joint. He got it. It's a common joint in furniture making too. You'll see it a lot in furniture making. But
I will say he perfected it.
He did. Honestly, that's probably what we're looking at here. So Martin was really known for being the first people to utilize this joint for attaching a guitar neck. Back in the day, they used to have the old method with the key where you could adjust it looked like an ice cream cone. Anyway, dovetails. This is an HG28. It has a classic dovetail joint, and it's been around forever. It's tried and true. The thing about this joint, though, and we're going to talk about this with each of these guitars, is eventually guitars need what's called a neck reset.
Every guitar, when we get a vintage guitar in the store, it's from the 60s, it's from the 50s, it's from the 40s. The first question always is, has it had a neck reset, and how long until it's gonna need that? They all need it.
And what does that mean?
Yeah.
So over time, even though this guitar is glued together, gravity kind of shifts the angle upward, and so that, we've all seen guitars that are old and the strings are that high off the fretboard.
Fingers underneath the strings.
Yeah. So that angle, that geometry has gotten off. So what they do on a dovetail is they have to remove this fret right here, drill some holes in there, pump some steam in there to get the glue loose, work the joint, and the fingerboard extension, I should note, is also glued on too. So it's a delicate process to get this neck off.
And then you've got to recut the wood on that neck to refit it so that neck will fall back further. It's a very complicated procedure. It's major surgery on your guitar.
It is, yeah. And so like expense-wise, if it's not under warranty, expense-wise, depending on who you have do it, you're probably looking at $500 to $1,000 to reset.
I've seen some guys that are the best of the best, and they're charging $1,500 to $1,800. So.
Yeah, so it can be very expensive. So there are companies now that use altogether different joints and hybrid joints to kind of fix that problem. Let's talk about the Taylor NT.
Yep. So Bob Taylor started Taylor Guitars in 1974. In his first few years of guitars, he was trying to dovetail because that's kind of what everybody did. But he decided he wanted to kind of fix that problem where every guitar is going to need a neck reset, and how can we, manageably do that or safely do that at any time if we needed to. So he came up with the NT neck design, where it's a series of shims, a wood shim at the back of the heel and a wood shim on the top of the guitar that will change what that neck angle is, and that neck is connected with a bolt. So you can quickly get in there, I should say quickly, but you can easily get in there and remove that bolt, remove the neck, change the shims without doing major surgery.
So the fingerboard extension is bolted on as well. So you've got bolts in the heel, and you've got bolts holding down the fingerboard extension right here. Mm-hmm. So that you can loosen those and pop it off like a Stratocaster. Swap out your shims, and you're done.
I like swip out.
Swip out. And you're done. And expense of that, typically I think here at Edmund Music, when we do that on a Taylor, I think he charges maybe $100.
Yeah.
Very reasonable. Far cry from having to reset a dovetail. Mm-hmm. Amazing. NT stands for new technology. So it's an incredible joint. And then kind of a hybrid, kind of a switch between the two. Let's talk about Collings joint. So Collings is a mortise and tenon joint that is also bolted on. The heel is bolted on, but the fingerboard extension, and this is important, is still glued on like the dovetail. So it's kind of a hybrid thing. It's definitely more tricky to reset than the Taylor. But still, a luthier is probably still going to charge you less because there's ways to do it. I've seen people reset these guitars by like loosening the heel and like actually removing material without taking the neck totally off. So it's kind of a cool hybrid joint, somewhere in between a traditional dovetail and an NT system, but tried and true. I mean, like, there's traditionalists out there, and they're like, oh, it's gotta be this, it's gotta be that. Well, these guitars don't know if they're glued in or bolted on.
The thing is, a tight bolt, a tight fitting neck, a nice cut with an NT neck is going to vibrate just as freely as something that has a dovetail neck joint. You know, so that, I mean, there's something to be said for both. I love tradition, but I like not having to do major surgery to reset a neck later on down the road.
Yeah, speaking of tradition, we're gonna throw a little classical at you real quick, just because we're geeks and we wanted to talk about it.
The original builders of these Spanish guitars, because these were much older than these steel strings, did what's called a Spanish heel. Spanish heel is not really a neck joint. It's where the guitar is completely constructed around the body. So you have a neck and then they build this guitar around it. It's not really a removable neck, but you don't really need to remove the neck because there's no tension like a steel string. It's nylon strings. There's no truss rod in here because it's a lot less tension. That just makes for a much more resonant guitar too because it's all one piece.
So on this, the sides actually come up into the neck itself. So instead of having a joint where the neck is laid down into the body, the neck and the sides are joined where the sides go into that neck, like little pockets.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting way, but definitely wouldn't hold up to steel strings.
No. All right, guys. So there's just a few neck joints that are common these days.
Tell us what you think. In the comments below, tell us what your favorite neck joint is. There's always room for a nice conversation on there for sure.